Oh boy. I don't know why Nintendo would do this, but hey, they're doing what they're doing. The reason why I'm saying I don't want to know what Nintendo are thinking right now is because they're actually asking questions about their game keycard whole thing that they've got going on at the moment regarding physical and digital purchases. Because at least in my corner of the internet, when I sit down and I watch YouTube videos, when I watch creators, when I read news articles and stuff like that, whenever I take in my gaming content, I usually see a lot of negativity surrounding these game key cards that have been coming out for the Switch 2. And I myself am not a fan of the game key card because it's just a digital purchase with extra steps. It's feeding into the idea that physical media doesn't contain any game but rather just a license, which can easily be disproved if the game that you've got actually is playable and doesn't say that it requires an internet connection on the actual box. But when it comes to game keycards, that's basically ruining the rep of all physical media as a whole, and I hate that Nintendo has done this. So the fact that they're seeking feedback on this is, at least to me, absolutely bloody insane. So basically, Nintendo released a new survey designed to identify player preferences around the Switch 2 game purchasing options. That's one way of looking at it, but sure. The survey asked whether players prefer buying games physically or digitally and seeks feedback on Switch 2's controversial game keycards, which have been proven unpopular with some customers. Okay, I hope a lot of people just come out and say how much they hate it. I really, really want to see people start coming out about it. The only difference between a game keycard title and a digital download is that the former can be resold and will work on other Switch. Can it though? Well, even if it can, it still doesn't change the fact that it might as well just be a digital download, because there's the virtual game card lending, which absolutely ruined the use of the original Switch as well after they updated that post the Switch 2 presentation that they did. But anyway, so the majority of third-party Switch 2 games are keycards, which only has a few exceptions, reportedly because only one size of a card is 64 gigs. Or that's available to developers as 64 gigs. Only a few exceptions. As far as exceptions go, I think there's only one exception when it comes to third-party games, and that's Cyberpunk 2077. Outside of that, it's only first-party Nintendo games that have, the actual game in the cards. So I'm pretty sure everything else is a game key card at this point. As spotted on Reddit, Nintendo survey asked respondents how many Switch titles they bought in the past year for themselves and for others as gifts. Okay, interesting. Participants then asked how many Switch games they had resold after playing. The survey goes on to ask whether players prefer purchasing games in physical format or digitally, and what the main reasons for that preference is. It then lists the various ways players can purchase Switch 2 games, including game keycard system, which is described but not named as such. For each method of purchasing Switch 2 games, players are asked how likely they would be to use it, from definitely to definitely not. And so they have here physical requiring digital download. The physical cartridge allows for the download of a full digital game to the console. The cartridge must be inserted into the console to play the game. The cartridge can be shared and resold. Game preservationists have come out against game keycard system, calling it disheartening because yes, obviously it is disheartening because you do not have the game on the actual physical media. That's the main reason why it's disheartening. Anyway, Stephen Kirk, CEO of Night Dive Studios, which specializes in modern remaster of older, often out-of-print games, told GameIndustry.biz that seeing Nintendo do this is a little disheartening, adding, "You would hope that a company that big, that has a storied history, would take preservation a little bit more seriously." But as we all know, when it comes to Nintendo games, if you are playing older Nintendo games, you are likely not playing them by any way that may or may not be considered legal. No, I wouldn't say the word legal. It's definitely a way in which Nintendo does not want you to play the game, because they are bringing GameCube games and stuff. Like they brought Sega games over as part of their online service, the Nintendo Online service. I've been playing a lot of GBA games, and a lot of those games I've been playing have not been on that service, or has not been made available on that service, I should say. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think Nintendo actually cares about gaming history in any way, shape, or form. And given what happened to Bowser previously, the guy who got caught with basically making money off of selling people ways to be able to actually get around Nintendo's protection of their games that was built into the consoles and stuff. So that's another basic reason as to why I think Nintendo just cannot be trusted. And Nintendo is also the least likely of all of the major gaming platforms to actually keep doing physical media, but also the least likely to actually care about the past that their games, used to share. Xbox is actually in the middle. They're not as bad as Nintendo, but they're still pretty bad. And then Sony, which is not as bad as Xbox, but is still pretty bad when it comes to older titles. Like, they're only drip feeding us games through PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus's highest tier, whatever it's called. Some places it's called premium, others it's called deluxe, because if it's called deluxe in your region, it's because you don't have access to PS3 streaming, which I personally do not, but it is what it is. That being said, however, it really doesn't change the fact that none of these platforms are particularly good when it comes to older games, and also the idea of just having to buy games digitally and stuff like that. So the game keycard just being like a just obnoxiously bad thing in the physical space. But with all that being said, though, let me know what you guys think about Nintendo's game keycards, or the fact that they're even seeking any amount of feedback regarding this at all, because I'm very much astonished that this is happening in any way, shape, or form. But with all that being said, however, let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 500 subs by the end of the year. With all that being said, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.